with the media coverage? What were they running with, especially with like the images that they were using of Pamela?
To see that mugshot was, you want to talk about livid? We were pissed because all they care about is getting their story out there and not about how they make somebody look. And the first thing the media is going to do with whatever story, if a police officer did something, their mission is to shame the victim, make them look bad, try to justify why. And really, it's no reason why. But for us to have that video and know what really happened, and the media to portray my mom like she was some type of criminal who had all of these warrants and putting her mugshot out there, that, like, come on now.
Pam always was strong.
She was just loved by everybody.
She just was a very giving person, too. Oh, they need something. They need money. They need to pay a bill. She wants to help them pay their bills. She goes out there and clean up the apartment complex. Don't get paid for it. Pick up the trash. But Pam, she coped with her mental illness really well. It's mostly the paranoid schizophrenia.
My mom doesn't have this long criminal history. I don't remember her ever going to jail. I know of a time where Delacruz actually called me saying that he was trying to have my mom committed to a hospital, but he needed a family member to make that push.
You know, our last conversation was an argument over Alexis.
She was the manager at the apartments at the time.
And that's what I have to live with now.
Hi, I'm Adele Coleman. Thank you for tuning into Say Their Name, brought to you by DCP Entertainment. This series takes a deeper look into the impact of the assault and killing of Black people by the police and in Stand Your Ground states. We share the stories from families who have been negatively impacted by the police. We did not talk to officers or to governing bodies, just the families and their support systems. We are not the court of law, nor do we try to be for legal purposes. We are not here to presume guilt or innocence for anyone because, quite frankly, we do not want to be sued. We simply want to give the families a voice while examining what happens when the hashtags stop and the news cycle unfortunately moves on to the next big story. All we want to do is give the families the opportunity to control their narrative and share ways that we can all help. Warning, some of the discussions may be particularly disturbing and even emotionally overwhelming at times. When one of those moments occur that may be particularly triggering, you will hear this chime. For more specific details on the timing of these moments, please visit our show notes. On this episode of Say Their Name, we focus on Pamela Turner. 45-year-old Pamela Turner, also known as Nene, was a loving and caring grandmother, mother, and sister who made friends easily wherever she went. Even with her paranoid schizophrenia, she was always finding ways to be of service to others. But on May 13, 2019, Pamela was outside of her apartment when she was confronted and then killed by Baytown, Texas police officer Juan Delacruz. When she was killed, Pamela's daughter Chelsie had just gotten home from the hospital after giving birth to her second child. And Pam's sister, Antoinette, had been sensing this death coming and was on her way to see Pam when she had just received the news. Since Pamela Turner's death, the entire family has been devastated, including Chelsea's children.
Now, my baby, Serenity, the oldest one, we have a cutout that we use for the protest with my mom holding the sign. And my baby remembers her grandma. And she's so young, and I know, we think that kids' minds at that age, they don't retain much, but she definitely knows who that is, and she hugs that sign. She sits and, hey, this is Grandma. And one day she told my nanny that Grandma said she loves you.
She was in the corner in the room, and she was just talking. So I was videoing her, and she just talking and talking to the sign. I was laying in the bed, and I just say, Serenity, who are you talking to? And she said, Grandma. And I said, okay, what did she say? And so she started whispering, and she walks to me with the sign. Grandmama say, do you love her? And I said, yes. And she told Grandmama I love her. And I was like, oh my God, did she? So I get out emotional, and she holding a conversation with her. And I didn't know if it was a good thing to let her do it, but then I say, no, let her, because maybe in spirit her grandmama is talking to her. Because for her to come and ask me that, and she's only 3 years old, I'm looking like, and then I had already just had a dream about Pam asking me, but telling me don't ever forget her and stuff. So it's like, my God, this is crazy, but I know Pam is all around us, and I know when she first got, killed and stuff, it just was so hard. I went into depression.
Yeah.
And it was things would happen, like I would have my phone laying in the middle of the bed by me, and one day the phone I was like, God, I just don't want to live anymore. This is so hard. I closed my eyes and I heard a bam. So I looked and I was like, what is that? I got up and my phone was over there against the wall. So I freaked out. I called Chelsie.
She called me freaking out, and I'm like, okay, maybe there's a logical explanation for this.
And then the next day, I laid it on the sink while I was washing my face, and I was still having these same thoughts. God, I'm just tired of being here. And the phone just fell on the floor again. So I said, I'm going to stop saying that. Because every time I think like that, it's like this poor phone just get beat down. And it kind of freaked me out and stuff. And so that's when I was telling her, I was like, well, Pam, if you're okay, let me know. And that's like she came to me in the dream, and she ran to me, she hugged me, and she laid her head in my chest. And she was the age she was when she passed away. And she looked up at me and she said, I love you. I said, I love you too. And we was holding each other so tight. She said, don't ever forget me. And when she said that, she started getting younger and younger and younger and younger. And I was trying to hold on to her, but she got back to her baby and she disappeared. And so I was like, well, God, what does that mean? You took, and he was just showing me that she was reborn again. I felt better about it.
She had a dream. I had a dream, and my brother had a dream on the same night. And we all called each other, and nobody knew.
Yeah.
But we all called each other, and because I had a dream that me and my dad were walking outside. We were actually like standing by a car or something like that, and it was sunny. It was so pretty outside, and I don't know where we were, but it was like some type of facility or something. It was a building, but she was walking on the sidewalk, and she looked so beautiful. And she, was her age that she was when she got killed, but her face was just refreshed. And she was walking, and she had so much confidence in her step and everything. And she seen us, me and my dad, leaning against a car. And when she saw us, she ran up to us, and I'm running to meet her because, my mom, and your mind is still present with what's going on. So I ran up to her, and I just started crying, and she hugged me, and she said, why are you crying? She was, I'm okay now. I'm okay. And from that moment, I just felt like, okay, I don't have to worry. And I do know that she is for sure in a better place, and is definitely better than being here, although I want her here. But for all of us to have a dream the same night, I just know she was communicating with us to let us know that she's fine, but, we have to do the work down here for her.
And we called Deshaun, and he had a dream, and we're like, what? You had a dream too? We were like, all us like, Pam death has really brought me to an all-time low. Because it was just a senseless, unnecessary death. Pam should not be rotting in a grave right now. She shouldn't. She should be here enjoying her children, enjoying her family, and most of all, enjoying her grandkids and her life. And then what hurts me even worse is that when my brother was dying, he died 7 days after her anniversary. He was asking for her on his deathbed.
He kept asking for her.
And he gave me this big smile, and I guess he seen her. I don't know. He smiled really big at somebody before he passed away. We just assumed maybe he seen her. But families shouldn't have to wake up in the morning crying and go to bed crying. And, you go to the store and you see people with their sisters, and you see kids with their grandparents and stuff, and then you think about that and then you cry. I don't have happy days, but I try to put on a front for the kids, and it's very depressing. Since Pam death, I've been to the emergency room. I can't even count. My anxiety is so bad. My depression is so bad.
So after my mom got murdered, life was a blur, and I ended up going back to work in October, November, and didn't even know that 6 months of my life had went by. I was working, and just recently in April, a little bit after her birthday, I ended up having to take another break because I'm overwhelmed mentally, not where I know I should be, or really honestly where I want to be, because I want to be okay. I want to feel like how I used to feel. I want to be happy, and I'm not. So I did start going to therapy again and actually trying to somehow make do with the situation. That's about the only self-care that I've been doing. It's going to therapy. Sometimes I feel like it's helping, and then I have a day where I'm just back hiding under my covers and not really talking to anybody, and I just feel like it started all over. I do try, but it's definitely hard, especially I have kids and they can't see me sad. I don't want them to. And I don't want them to question me on why I'm sad. And my babies are very sensible, so in times where I do cry, my daughter comes to wipe my tears. And it's very sentimental, but my baby is supposed to be enjoying her life as a kid, not watching her mama cry and come wiping her tears off her face. So it's hard to try to maintain and contain my feelings. And then also, it's not like I'm able to. I have to live. I have to take care of myself. So it's definitely not a decision that I'm just so easily making, taking off from work and stuff, because if I do that, I'm making a sacrifice, basically. But I got to do it because I have to get better.
I've attempted therapy several times, and then I just don't like when people say she's in a better place. So for some reason that just don't settle with me. And I kind of mope around, stay in bed. I don't go places. I don't do a lot of stuff. We have a big family. Usually we all get together, and I be the life of the party. I know I probably need the therapy or to talk to somebody. when I go to my doctor to get my antidepressant, she always tell me, you're gonna have to talk to somebody and stuff, because I forgot what she said. I was something depressed, but it's like a high level of depression, and you don't want to go around people, because when people get to talking and then they get to laughing, and then they could be having fun, and I might think about her and be thinking about, okay, well, she's not here to enjoy this, and it put a damper, and I don't want to put a damper on everybody. So I kind of, isolate myself, and I'm kind of glad my mom don't really understand that she's gone because of her mental illness and her dementia and all of that stuff. She don't. But when I did try to tell her that, I think that was the day before, the day of we was gonna bury her. I said, Pam, I said, your baby, Nene. She said, no, she's sitting right here. I said, no, she's dead. She was killed behind a hole. And I said, huh? We didn't tell her anything, but she was basically telling me she was killed behind the lady. That's what she was saying, but she called it a hole.
Alexis, she was the manager at the apartments at the time.
Because the lady was the one sending him over there. And I don't know what their relationship was, but
she obviously had access enough to call and say, hey, go over here to Pamela's house.
And even when we went to clean out her apartment, she even called the police on us.
Yeah, she did.
They sent the emails telling her that I was coming to clean out the apartment. And I said, well, can you send it to me? Because I bet you when I get there, she's going to say she didn't have it.
Which she did.
So they did send it to me. And when I got there, she was like, can I help you out? I said, well, we come to clean out Pamela Turner apartment. And I'm her sister, this her daughter. And she was like, oh, I didn't get nothing saying y'all was coming. I said, yes, you did. I said, but I knew this was going to happen. So I told them to send me the email. And she was like, oh, let me go. She went check. And she said, well, no, you can't come because I don't have an email. I don't see it.
And she said we had to make an appointment.
Yeah, she did. She told me that. And I said, no, we don't. You have the email. And I said, and I knew you was going to pull this. So I have my email too. So she said, well, I'm going to need y'all to leave the property. And I told her, I'm not going anywhere. But she said, yeah, you're going to leave the property. And I told her, no, I'm not. So she said, well, I'm going to call the police. And I said, well, call Delacruz. Have him to come the same way you had him going to Pam place. Tell him Pam's sister is here and that he needs to come and remove me from the property. And so she called the police, and they took forever to come.
He did.
So when they finally came, they sent 3 squad cars, and they came in, and they asked her, and she said, well, I can't find it anywhere, I let them get my email. Because I told them, I said, I knew she was going to pull this mess. She saw one letter that was...
It was a typo on the letter.
On the name of the apartment.
On the name of the apartments.
Instead of putting Brixton, they put... I think they put it with an E instead of O or something.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, it's not right. And so they said, well, go ahead and have them to resend it and,
just come back.
Yeah. So when we went back the next time, somebody had broken into Pam's apartment. I guess when they broke the window, they had blood all on the thing. So we called the police department and told them, hey, we need somebody to come over. Somebody broke into the apartment. They was like, okay, what apartment is it? I said, well, it's Pamela Turner apartment. Oh, well, we don't have any available cops right now. And like, what you mean? Say, we don't have anybody to come out. Everybody's out on the patrol and out on, different things. I say, well, who are they looking for? Y'all killed the most notorious criminal around, Pam, so y'all shouldn't have no more problems in Baytown. So it took them, how long it took them? It took about...
Like an hour and a half, 45 minutes.
So after keep calling them, they said, we still don't have anybody. I said, well, that's okay. I tell you what, I'm going to come to you all.
And they sent somebody in 5 minutes.
They said, oh, no, don't worry about that. Next thing we know, the police, he was like, what's going on? Like, you can come up. And so when he came up, he took the report, and that was it.
We haven't heard anything about it since.
About nothing missing or anything. And
keep in mind, there were things missing from her apartment. They just haven't told us anything about it.
Why somebody broke into her apartment? What was they looking for? Looked like somebody had ate something, I don't know, used
Somebody
the restroom.
used her bathroom.
Left it unflushed and all of that stuff. So it's like, okay. She did have a box in there, you know, because she keeps all her records, her money orders and everything. That box was gone, so we don't know where that box, we don't know her cell. I think they took her cell phone that night that she was murdered because we couldn't find her cell phone or anything either. So I don't know where her stuff is or what she could have had or what they was looking for.
I don't want to speculate on anything, but maybe she sent some messages about the officers. Who knows what they were trying to potentially hide.
Maybe she might have took a picture of when he came or whatever, but I don't know. But they say they don't know what a cell phone is. We went and looked in the grass and everywhere. It wasn't out there. So they basically was trying to get it because she had some pictures of her granddaughter, with her and her granddaughter, and we was trying to get that. I really wasn't even thinking about that she might have had something on it from him. We just really wanted their pictures and stuff. But of course, I called the police department. They don't know where
Her cell phone is, which is crazy.
The break-in was unsettling, regardless of who actually violated Pamela's home. But what was also disturbing to Pam's family was how she was treated in the days leading up to her death, which revolved around an alleged eviction notice that was given to Pam the same day she was killed.
it wasn't in there when we went that night. It was not in her.
We went in her apartment that night.
It was not in there. When we went back to clean it, it was right there at the broken window. It was right at the broken window. So when I walked in, I said, Chelsie, what is this? This not here. Wasn't here. And so I opened it, and it was the eviction notice. But the thing about it was, now the apartment complex called the Thursday before she was murdered. They called Pam's dad. He called me. I was in Mississippi. He called me. He said they finna evict Pam. They finna put on the street. I say, call them back. Because of course they say he was the only person that they could talk to because that was
the emergency contact.
Exactly. So I say, call them back and tell them I'm coming home next week. Chelsie, her daughter, is in the hospital, and when she get out, I'm gonna give her some time, and we're gonna come and get her Friday. Plus, she have a mental illness, and they cannot put her on the street without a family member. So he called me back and said they will wait till the following week when I get back to town, and that we was gonna come and get them. So I don't know if they figure, okay, everybody's out of town, so let's go ahead and throw out now. Because that's what it seems to me. He did talk to them about not putting her out. So maybe they had that eviction notice signed, but they didn't serve her with it. After she got killed, I think that's when they put it in her apartment.
Yeah.
Because I really believe wholeheartedly if they had gave it to her, she would have let somebody know that, hey, they gave me an eviction notice. Mm-hmm. She can't hold water, she gonna tell it. They trying to put me out. She'd have said something. But she never told anybody, so I'm thinking they put it in there
never
after.
Got that. Yeah, I don't think she ever got that because she definitely would have called and let us know that, hey, they're trying to make me leave, so I need somewhere to go or something. She would have did something if she got that eviction notice. We went in her apartment that night. We had to go get her dog. She had put her dog up. So we went in her apartment and looked everywhere, and there was no eviction notice.
Antoinette, Chelsie, her brother Deshaun, and other family members had all been at the apartment shortly after Pam was killed, and the group of police that they met upon their arrival were less than friendly.
Yeah. As disrespectful as you can think is what they were doing. Holding their hand on their gun, talking smart to my brother, telling them that he better back up because they'll da-da-da-da-da.
Because my stepdaughter called me and she said, how long you gonna get here? Because they up here talking real stupid to me and Chelsie. I said, I'm on my way. When I got there, every time I made a move, it was one of the police say, watch her. I'm just pacing back and forth and stuff. And then one of them actually came and stood in front of me with his hand on his gun. And I just kind of asked him, I said, well, how many bullets you have? Because you're not intimidating me. I'm one that you're not going to intimidate. And I basically just told him, I'm not Pam, so you're not scaring me. But they had formed their little lines where we couldn't go back, and they was having their hands on their guns. I mean, I don't know why you even stand there with your hands on your gun. And then on top of that, we was out there for hours and they left on the ground for hours. So ants and bugs crawling over, and they refused to let us identify her. And the more I think about it, I think it was better that they did, because I think it would have turned out a lot worse, probably for me, if I had seen her actually on the ground. I think it would have made the situation even worse. The policemen, they was very rude to us. They were very disrespectful.
Very provoking.
I did get a little verbal with them. And one of them was saying that Pam went to jail for cursing out the police. And I said, I'm cursing you out, arrest me. And they said, well, with the situation that's going on, no, we're not gonna do that. I mean, it can't be good for one person and not good for the other person, And then I did do my research on it, and it said it usually don't stand up in court, but when you cursing out the police officer, the only reason they're gonna arrest you is because they offended. Yeah, they feeling was hurt. The night she got killed, when I got in my car, my first words was to Lieutenant Doris was, "Who is the deceased? Is that my sister?" And he said, "The deceased is Pamela Turner." And I said, "How did you identify her?" I said, "I would like to go and see if that's my sister." He said, "No, you can't go over there." He said, "We identify her because we're familiar with her." I say, "Are you familiar with her?" I say, "So you saying you have knowledge of her mental illness?" And he said, "Yes, we're familiar with her."
And keep in mind, my mom doesn't have this long criminal history. She doesn't get into trouble. So for you to say you're familiar with her, okay, that's a red flag.
One of the reasons that officers were saying they were familiar with Pam was because she allegedly had warrants out for her arrest at the time she was killed.
It's very up in the air, even if it was I think failure to appear in court.
We would have gotten a clarification if there was a warrant out
we
yet or not.
We haven't.
Because when we called the next day, they said there was no warrants out.
Yeah, we called that same day and the next day. We called the bondsman, everybody.
So we don't know. But they saying she did have warrants out for misdemeanor warrants or not sure. I don't know. We still haven't gotten that. They haven't talked to us today.
Not once.
The night that she was murdered, they did come to us and tell us that they had some detectives waiting to talk to us and tell us what had happened. If we would go to the police department, and the detectives was going to meet us there. And we went there, waited 45 minutes, an hour. Finally, the guy behind the window said they was never over here. They over there. So I don't know what was the reason for them to send us over there. And I'm thinking it was so they can have their interview.
Yeah, that's exactly what.
Because I was so rowdy, I guess that was to get me away, to stop me from over talking them or speaking about it. Once we went back over there, I didn't know there was a video out. They knew it. I didn't. So they was trying to hide it from me. While we was at the police department, my Pam oldest sister sent me the video, but I never opened it up. She just kept telling me to look at the video, and I was like, "Girl, I don't have time for that." But then when I kept looking at Chelsie and them, they kept, looking at me and like they hiding something. I'm like, what's going on?
You only thought that because I really was not watching that video at that time. I got the video before we when we got there. Keisha gave it to me, and then when I went to the store to just get away from everything, that's when I let my kid's father watch the video, and I didn't watch it. I didn't want to watch it, but he watched it, and he told me that it was not something that I need to see. But she thought we were watching the video. We weren't watching it.
No, I didn't think y'all watched. I think y'all knew and was hiding it from me.
Well, yeah, we definitely knew.
And because they kept holding the phone, and I'm like, what is going on over in that corner? And then, of course, I eventually opened it up after about 45 minutes of being at the police department. And nobody told me it was a video. So when I open it up and I see that, of course you go into a rage. And that's when I hit the window of the police thing, and the guy told us that they was not there, that they was over at the site, and there was no detective there to talk to us.
What Antoinette and Chelsie are referring to is a cell phone video that was taken by a bystander showing Officer Delacruz approaching Pamela Turner as she exclaims,
I was actually walking to my house. Oh! You actually harassing me.
She is then tased to the ground. It is hard to see exactly what happens as the officer stands over her, but you can hear Pamela ask, "Why? Why? I'm pregnant." And within seconds, Officer Delacruz backpedals away from her and shoots Pamela 5 times.
So when I go back over there, I go to Lieutenant Doris. I say, did you know it was a video? And that's when he was like, calm down. I need to talk to you about, was she pregnant? All they was concerned about was she pregnant? And I did tell him, I said, no, she wasn't pregnant. But that was her defense mechanism at the time to get him up off of her. And so that's what they run with. Oh, the family member says she wasn't pregnant. I don't care was she pregnant or not. The way she was murdered, like she was an animal.
In the video, you can see that someone is recording, of course. The officer pulls up and literally hops out of his car and walks straight up to her, very aggressive like. It was not welcoming situation. It was like he was hostile already, as if he had gotten a call, but he hadn't. So he walked up to her. There was someone who was out there who actually said they watched him drive and see her and hurry up and turn the car and go to her and then hop out. And then he immediately tries to arrest her without announcing himself, any probable cause, anything like that. Of course, my mom, just like any other person would have done, just like I would have done, resists and it's like, hey, what's going on here? Why are you harassing me? What did I do? I hear my mom screaming, why, so many times, but not one response from him. And then, she moves. He tries to tase her. He did tase her. I see her, go down to the ground. I see him standing on top of her. I see him, first of all, he kneeled in her chest. And then he stood up. And then I immediately see him back away and pull out his gun. And that's when you just hear shots ring out. Probably the worst 40 seconds of my life. All of that happened within a very short amount of time.
She actually sat up. She actually was sitting up watching, looking at him.
She looked at him.
You can't see it clear, but you can see the figure. She was actually sitting up. And when she went backwards, I told Chelsie, she was shot in her eye. I felt it.
You could see how her head snapped back.
And Chelsie said, what make you think that? I said, just look the way she falls. She actually was shot under the eye.
Literally.
But I just felt it. It's like a pain. And I said, she was shot in her eye. I guess we were so close. It's just like I felt everything she went through. And, it just makes me angry.
He shattered the left side of her face right here.
They had to reconstruct
her face.
But that wasn't what killed her.
Nope. She felt that.
The second shot was not the shot that killed her. The third shot is the shot that ricocheted and hit her organs and killed her.
That hurts to know that my mom sat there and could feel. Imagine getting shot in your face. Imagine that hot bullet entering your chest and you can feel it all. So she suffered.
Yeah. So why would you treat a human like that? And the recklessness of the way he was shooting, he shot 5 times, hitting Pam 3. So you don't even know where the other 2 bullets could have landed. They could have hit a bystander because people was actually walking on the video as he was standing on top of her like she was a rag, a rug or something. Because it was upsetting me so bad. She wasn't bothering anybody. As a matter of fact, on the video, you could see clearly she had trash in her hand because when he grabbed her, she dropped the bottle.
That's what she was doing.
She was picking up trash.
She was picking up trash. So there was somebody who was working and going around and picking up the trash. And he talks about on a video with the other residents how she was out there helping him pick up the trash and how he had just talked to her and was like, hey, you know, I'll see you tomorrow and all of that. That's just what she liked to do. And that was her spirit. And that was that type of person. So in that video where he killed her, she had a bottle in her hand that she picked up and I honestly feel like she was going to the trash can to go throw it away because she had just walked her dog. So she put her dog back up in the house and seen that and must have went and tried to go throw it away.
I don't know if you've seen some of the videos that was on the news and stuff, but it had some residents. One resident said that he was actually outside her door for 3 days watching her apartment. I have people that have come on Facebook that don't know me. And one girl, I don't know who she was, she texts me in the middle of the night and say, hey, they having a conversation about Pam. So I gets on there. And one of the girls say, badge 55, I think it's 55 or 155, something like that, was saying he was going to kill her. He was going to shoot her. And I said, hey, who said they was going to shoot her? The officer, you know, he's a bad officer. Yeah, he said he was going to shoot. I say, shoot who? Miss Pam. So they didn't know who I was when I jumped in the conversation. But I did screenshot the conversation and stuff and sent it to the DA office and stuff. Because I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy.
After Pamela Turner was killed, the video of her death went viral on social media almost immediately, which meant that the traditional media outlets needed to get their story out quickly. And the image of Pam that they chose to use was a mugshot that the police had provided for them.
To see that mugshot was, you want to talk about livid? We were pissed because all they care about is getting their story out there and not about how they make somebody look. And the first thing the media is going to do with whatever story, if a police officer did something, their mission is to shame the victim, make them look bad, try to justify why, and really it's no reason why. But for us to have that video and know what really happened, and the media to portray my mom like she was some type of criminal who had all of these warrants and putting her mugshot out there, that, like, come on now.
They always try to make the victim the aggressor and the aggressor the victim. They always try to switch roles. But when I first seen the mugshot, that was the next day. I was laying on my sofa and I had it on the news and her picture popped up and I looked at it and I was like, what the hell? So as I was thinking that, my phone rang. I don't know how they got my number, but it was somebody from the news, and I said, I'm glad you called me. What the hell is that picture up there? You need to take it down. And they said, well, do you have any? Because that's what the police officer, them, I guess gave me. I know the department ran with the fact she had warrants and painted her as this criminal and this bad person, just to throw the media. And it did. A lot of people went with it.
Yep.
But once they started to learn the story and see that they know that they're a bunch of lies. Because one guy was on social media and he was just talking about she was a hardened criminal and this and that and that. And he was like, well, how you know who she was? So I had to go ahead and break him down. And I said, before you go run with the media, you go pull all the records and read it. And he did text me back, whoever he was, and say, they are such liars. I went and saw this and saw that, and And he started putting up other cases on the Baytown Police Department, because I started pulling up cases. Was one incident where they was harassing some woman at IHOP.
Yeah, that would be Officer Brown. He's recently been
pulled her
Indicted,
over
too.
and asked her, did she have a problem with her food at the IHOP? She videoed and put it on. And I'm like, when police pull you over to ask you, did you have a problem with your food? So they knew Baytown Police Department is corrupt, and they continue to harass. It's like a terrorist area over there.
Within the last 10 months, Baytown has had 4 officers be indicted. And this is a small town. I mean, what's the population, like 90,000? It's not many. It's a small town, and for 4 police officers on one department be indicted for crimes that are serious, that is crazy.
And speaking of indictments, on September 14, 2020, Officer Juan Delacruz was charged with aggravated assault by a public servant. So did Pamela's family think that that was the correct charge?
In terms of what we would want, no. In legal stance, yes.
Because they said it holds the same sentence as,
A murder charge.
basically what they said is hard to prove. A police officer, it's hard to charge him with
Murder. Because they would have to prove that it was premeditated. In a legal stance, yes, it's the right charge. Definitely because of the punishment time. But, I mean, of course, you would want people to know that he did not commit assault. He's a murderer.
Because of assault, the person is still walking around. If they can give him life imprisonment, they can charge him with whatever.
Whatever.
As long as he get that maximum, I don't care what they charge him with. But he needs the maximum sentence, which is life. He took a life, so he need to live his life behind those bars.
What do you now know about when he's going to face these charges?
We
I haven't
don't.
heard anything yet.
Yeah, we haven't gotten a trial date.
I called the Attorney General's office
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
before I left. I haven't heard anything back.
I also understand that the officer had body camera on him. What have you heard about the body camera footage?
We haven't seen it.
Yeah, but they said they was gonna let us see it.
Yeah, it's a part of course, evidence for the case, but the DA has it, so.
They said they're gonna let some of the family members see it. But like I told them, I want to see everything that happened to her. I need to see what they did to her. Because when I look at stuff, I'm looking at it with a close eye. I look at every single detail. And sometimes people might not see it, and I might say, oh, look this. So I actually become like a real
She's a detective now.
when it comes to her case. I looks at everything. Even when it first happened, I told them, I said, they're going to come up with some stuff that they didn't know her, or they didn't this, or they didn't that. I had already had my file put together. So when all that stuff came up, all I did was just send it to the attorney and let them send it to the DA. It was like, how you come up with that so quick? Because I knew this was going to happen. So I had already put all of my phone records where I had called and did a complaint, and all of the text messages from people off of Facebook, and all. I had put all that in a file. I already had it together. Back to what Delacruz had made a statement that, he didn't even know who she was when he was arresting her that night. Like, come on, please, man. Tell the truth. You on the oath, supposed to be on the oath, every day, all day, because you are an officer, and anything dealing with any kind of case or anything, just tell the truth. Just be a man, tell the truth, what you did, what your intentions was, how you planned it, and go and do your little time and get out. Take your slap on the wrist and get on out of whatever you got going on. But just be a man own up to what you done, and just tell the truth. You didn't like her. You wanted to get her out of there any way that you could. And that's what you did. The only way that she wasn't going to bow down to you is you just took her life.
The family has received notable support from other families, activists, and advocates, including attorney Ben Crump.
My ex-boyfriend in Mississippi actually called me and gave me Mr. Crump's number.
Yeah, he's a great help,
Yeah.
with seeking justice.
Yeah.
You can tell he really cares.
Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, when I tell you, now that lady, beautiful inside and out, just beautiful soul, just so caring.
She's been by our side since day one.
Day one. She came to visit us, and the first thing she said to me was, I hate I met you. And some people were like, well, why would she say that? I said, but you have to know what she was saying. Because had Pam not been killed, she would never have met me under these circumstances. So she's a beautiful person.
She's so
but
genuine.
I hate it too, because she would have never been in my house had that not happened.
George Floyd's family is very
Active.
active. Yes, that's a good word. It's very supportive. They're definitely there. And Breonna Taylor's mom came down here and was with us for the rally. Sabrina has come. There's also another family that may remember, maybe not, but a man named Kendrick Crawford was actually
The one who was tasered.
Yeah, he was in Baytown and was brutalized by the police in a HEB parking lot. Same police force. His family and our family has definitely gotten
We met
close.
quite a few families
Yeah.
in Washington that we stay in touch with. Is really supported.
Stephon Clark's family, Miss Sequetta, and her just kind of clicked. Miss T.
We all met in Washington. We cried together. We ate together. It just, and then you talk to these people and you see how sweet they are, and then you have to sit there and see how broken they are. And I know they know, because I cried every day. We've met a lot of good people, a lot of good people. But no matter how many words of comfort they give us, it doesn't change the pain, And even when they giving the word of comforts to us and talking and doing like that, it's my stomach still is in knots, and I still want to snot on them. And when we go talk to the DA office, it's always a bunch of snot. And I say, I know they get probably sick of me coming every time I come up here snotting on the tables and stuff. But I try to get the point across that you just don't know what we go through. Me and Pam should be at the movies or out to eat, because I told her, I said, once I retire, you can stay with me, and I ain't nothing we gonna do but go eat and go to the movies and stuff like that. And she'll say, I'm gonna come stay with you, but then she don't want to come stay. To be retired, and all I do for my retirement for the last 2 years is cry and trying to work on this case and try to find out this and find out that. That's, no traveling, no nothing. Got nothing going on. But trying to deal with her justice. I'm actually glad I was retired, because I don't think I could ever work going up in nobody's office and breaking down and not being able to focus. And sometimes you want to talk about Pam. I don't want to talk too much to a kid, because I don't want to put a damper on them. And then when I talk to my other cousins them and family members, and then they get all upset. And it's just her dad, I talked to him a lot about it, and because that was her phone buddy. She had to call him 5 or 6 times every day, every single day.
So I'm that kid in the classroom who hates doing presentations, who hates going in front of the class and, speaking. I'm very soft-spoken. I don't really like project my voice as much. I stay to myself, and I'm very conservative. For me to have to go in front of all of these people, and their eyes are on me and they're listening to what I have to say, it's definitely out of my comfort zone, and I don't like doing it. Yes, I do have to do it, because my mom is not here to speak for herself, and this woman can't do it alone, just like I can't do it alone. So I'm gonna do my part, because enough has happened, and I'm really tired of it happening. First and foremost, I do want to get justice for my mom, of course. But since things have started happening and I'm just watching all of these other cases transpire, it's a bigger picture. This is about change completely for me. And it's also extremely personal. It is my duty to make sure that my mom's death is very impactful to the world, because that's what she would want me to do.
Me personally, I've taught classes, I've facilitated, but this is different for me. Chelsie does a better job with the speaking in the public. Me, I get emotional, I get angry, I get choked up. I really don't like being in the public eye for this reason, because I don't like to have to keep referring to Pam as a person with mental illness, or dragging out her flaws, or what they call her history, or what they think was not a normal behavior or whatever. I don't really like doing it, like Chelsie say, but that was my baby, and I feel like I have to. I feel like I need to. And I know she would want me to fight for her justice, because even in her illness, if it had happened to me, she'd have been fighting for me. I mean, it started off where I can speak a little clearer, but as time go on, it's like it gets harder for me. The pain is no less today than it was May 13 of 2019. The pain is still. She had struggles, but she fought through them. She overcame them when she needed to. Right now, everybody focuses on, oh, she was mentally ill. They should also focus on that she was human. She had a reason and a right to live. And the way she was murdered, it's just unjustified. And it should have been dealt with, and he should have been already convicted and sentenced, and we should be starting our healing process May 14 of 2019. But yet we still going through it, and we probably will always go through it, because you just can't erase it and get Pam back. I wish we could, but we can't. People say they up there and they done practice talking, and I done heard people say that before. Oh, the attorneys tell them what to say. And that's not true. We get up there and we try to speak as clearly, as calmly as we can. I don't like to get in front of people and be crying and stuff. They say I'm so emotional, and I am. I'm really, when it comes to her or any of my family, I am very emotional, especially when they've been done unjustly wrong. It's just me. I'm just, I guess, an emotional wreck right now. I think if they go ahead and lock this man up, that probably would be a start to a little bit of healing. But to still have to walk around here all these years and just think, I bet you he's over there enjoying his family for the holiday. You shouldn't have to be sitting during the holidays. I don't think we even had a Christmas holiday since she passed. No. It's like, what's the point? He's over there happy, opening his gifts and laughing with his children, his family, or whoever. And we sitting here saying, well, if Pam was here, she probably would have went to the store and got this for me. I ain't get my gift. As a matter of fact, that's the only gifts I was getting during the holidays was Pam. I give out gifts, but Pam was the only one made sure I got a gift. So, I missed my little gifts. I don't care if it was a pencil or a soda or whatever it could have been,
I got you a candle last year.
Yeah, you did give me something. Yeah, you got me a candle. Yeah, she did give me something. And she did, for Mother's Day, got me a charm necklace with Pam picture in it.
Yeah, it's a locket.
I'm like, ah! She was like, open it up, We was just trying to figure out why. It's not a day I go by, I don't think about it.
Yeah. My daughter, for the last about 3 weeks has been asking to go to grandma's house. I don't have an answer for that. I don't know what to say. I don't even have a reason to tell her why we can't. And I just have to either change the subject or I don't know. I really don't know how to answer that. I don't know what to tell my 3-year-old about why she can't go to her grandma.
A lot of the things she got, and it's probably going to be Serenity, her 3-year-old, the ones that I'm going to give her stuff to, like Pam broom and stuff, little stuff like that might have not meant nothing then. You know, I got all of that little stuff, you know, and I got it for a reason to do a special room when I get my house to, you know, have her stuff and my brother's stuff in there and to have it saved for her grandkids. That broom might mean something to them her dustpan might mean something to them, or her sundress.
Yeah, one thing I do want to talk about is before my mom was killed, she was, in a way, regaining herself. We went to go clean out her house and her apartment, and she had just went shopping and bought herself so many clothes. The type of person that my mom is, she gives, but she doesn't do much for herself because she feels like she's okay, she's content, and you know, she don't need. She's always also been super like shy. And just going in her closet and seeing like her get all of these clothes that were so cute, and you know,
Shoes and
sandals.
She had tons of sandal shoes. I was like, oh, she went shopping.
And that was something to see, because that's not how she had been living for the past few years, because she was always worried about not going places because she didn't want to be judged by people. But to know that she was in that level of comfort to where she felt okay enough to do that, and he took that from her. And
to add on to that, she was saying she wanted to start working again because she had 3 grandchildren now, and she needed to make sure that they had everything they want. I said, no, you can't work. I'm going to work and buy for my grandkids. I'm going to buy for them. You know, she had even went and stacked up on all her hygienes and everything. That's not a person who don't want to live.
Nope.
Them grandkids had perked her up. She called you every day and tell you, no, I'm a grandmother now. Yeah, we know that, and you ain't going to let us forget it.
When my second daughter was born, she was going around telling people she was a grandma again. She was like, I'm a grandma again. Because, you know, the difference between her when she died and when my daughter was born is only 3 days. So she was just so happy when I had my baby. On the video with the residents talking about how everybody was saying that she was literally just walking around because the day before was Mother's Day. So she was just going around telling everybody, hey, happy Mother's Day and have a good day, and just smiling and walking her dog and telling everybody how she had just had another grandbaby and just so happy.
As Pamela Turner's family awaits the trial for Baytown police officer Juan Delacruz, they're also focused on the systematic issues that have allowed killings like this to happen.
I would like to see these senseless murders stop. I would like to see that laws are put in place to protect and help the mentally ill instead of murdering them, mistreating them. I'm talking as far as law enforcement and stuff, understanding what they might be going through. I mean, certain departments you need to have skilled and trained people to deal with that. In Pam's case, mental illness, if you have a team set aside that deals strictly with the mentally ill, honestly, all police should be trained, because they might be the first responder, and they need to know how to deal with that. And if you don't feel like you're comfortable, then you call backup and you call somebody that is trained, or you call the family member. I have this person here that seems to have some kind of mental distress. Like, they know how to get in touch with Chelsie. You should be able to see a person and tell that they're in some kind of mental distress. So I'm hoping that there'll be laws to protect people and laws put in place too to assist the families of the victims, because like Chelsie said, when their mom got killed and they went into depression, victim services, nobody reached out to them. She had to lose her apartment because she couldn't work from stress. Her brother, I just don't even know what to say about him. As for his mental status is, it need to be addressed differently, and things need to happen.
For me, I feel that the training and the longevity of what it takes to become a police officer should definitely be increased. I feel like regular mental analysis should be given to police officers because they're humans just like you. They are experiencing traumatic events all the time. So who's to say when somebody's gonna click out? Just because their mental health was fine when they started does not mean it'll be fine when they end. There needs to be some type of evaluation on a regular basis that will justify whether or not they can stay on that police force or not. I'm definitely waiting for the day that qualified immunity is abolished all over. It shouldn't even be still. That's crazy to me, and I don't see how it even started. What made you think that just because they work for law enforcement that they're above the law? That's crazy. Definitely dedicating way more time and hours of training towards mental health situations. It's too many instances where somebody just needed help and the officer treated it as if they were being an aggressor. So once those things change, it'll start feeling like we're going in the right direction. For me, anyway. But definitely, that qualified immunity needs to go. That's ridiculous.
Special thank you to the family of Pamela Turner. We appreciate you for sharing your story. Pamela Turner will be 47 years old on April 8th, and the journey for justice for her continues, as Officer Juan Delacruz was actually supposed to start his trial on March 28th, the day episode 1 aired, but now it has been pushed back to July 22nd. That's when they'll be selecting the jury, and Delacruz is still employed by the Baytown Police Department. Please remember to push to have your state require officers to have adequate training when dealing with mentally ill civilians. And keep praying and keep fighting for Pamela Turner's family and other impacted families. If you are a family impacted by police violence, Chelsie wants you to know to please reach out to her so that they can be a part of your support system. And if you need help contacting her, feel free to reach out to us at DCP to get you connected. And remember to contact your local officials to demand that they ban qualified immunity. Names of the fallen mentioned in these episodes: George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Trayvon Martin, Kedrick Crawford, Stephon Clark, Pamela Turner. Special thanks to my co-host and co-executive producer, Chris Colbert, and myself, Adele Coleman. Edited and sound design by Byron Hunt. Producers, Heather Johnson, Ryan Woodall, and Mike Dubose. Associate producers, Quentin Hill, Blair Davis, and Dylan Davis.